Jonas had always been a man of routine. He woke with the sun, fed the horses, checked the fences, and then rode out to survey his land. His small ranch sat on the edge of the frontier, far from the nearest town, surrounded by rolling hills and desert plains that stretched toward the horizon. Life was quiet, predictable, and safe, or at least, that's what he had believed. One chilly morning, Jonas went to the stable as he always did. The scent of hay mixed with the crisp desert air, and his horses stirred as he entered. That's when he saw her. A woman lay curled up on a blanket beside one of his horses. She slept soundly, the early sunlight glinting off the dark strands of her hair. Her clothing reminded him of the Apache women he had read about in history books, though the details were unfamiliar, as if they were from another time. Jonas froze. He had never seen anyone on his property without permission. His hand instinctively moved toward the rifle leaning against the wall. Then she stirred. Her eyes opened, wide and cautious, revealing a sharp intelligence and a hint of fear. She sat up quickly, pulling the blanket around her shoulders. Jonas noticed a faint glow on her wrist, a small, intricate symbol that pulsed softly, almost like it had a heartbeat of its own. She gasped softly and looked around, as if trying to understand where she was. Jonas lowered his rifle slowly. "You're a long way from anywhere," he said. His voice was calm, but firm. "Who are you, and what are you doing here?" The woman's gaze flicked to him, sizing him up. I don't know," she admitted, her voice soft and wary. I just woke up here." Jonas studied her carefully. She seemed harmless, but something about her was unusual beyond the clothes and the glowing mark. "All right," he said finally. "Sit. You can have some water, but you'll tell me your name." She hesitated, then nodded. "Naha," she whispered. "My name is Naha." Jonas handed her a tin cup of water. She drank slowly, eyes never leaving his. She had the posture of someone who had spent a long time hiding, someone who had learned to trust very little. As the sun climbed higher, Jonas began to notice oddities. Naha seemed to know things she shouldn't. She predicted the approach of a storm before any clouds appeared, and when she touched the horses, they calmed instantly, as if recognizing her. The glow on her wrist pulsed brighter each time she moved or touched something with care. Jonas felt a chill run down his spine. What is that?" he asked finally, pointing to the glowing symbol. Naha's eyes widened, and she quickly hid her wrist under the blanket. It's nothing, just a mark," she said, though her voice trembled slightly. Jonas didn't press. Something told him that pushing too hard could be dangerous. Instead, he asked gently, "Why are you here, Naha? Who's chasing you?" She looked away, biting her lip. They want me. They are not from here, not from this world. I don't have much time." Jonas frowned. He wasn't sure what she meant. Aliens? Machines? He had spent his life dealing with nature and the occasional outlaw, not interstellar threats. But something in her eyes made him believe her. He had no idea why, but he did. The following days were strange and tense. Jonas allowed Naha to stay hidden in the stable, bringing her food and water and keeping a careful watch for any signs of danger. She learned quickly how to tend to the animals and even helped him repair a broken fence. In return, Jonas noticed small miracles. Horses that were sick began to recover after she touched them, and the land around his home seemed somehow more alive. One evening, as they sat outside under the vast sky, Naha spoke. "I didn't mean to frighten you. I didn't know where else to go." Jonas leaned back, watching the stars. "You've got a way of showing up in the middle of trouble," he said quietly. "But if anyone tries to hurt you here, I'll deal with them." She smiled faintly. "I don't think you understand. It's not just people. They can come from anywhere. The sky, the ground. They can track me. Jonas felt a lump in his throat. Then we stay alert, he said. I'll protect you. Naha looked at him, her expression softening. You're different from anyone I've ever met. Jonas shrugged. Different can be good. The next morning, strange tracks appeared around the edges of his property. They were unlike anything Jonas had seen, too precise, too regular, as if made by machines. The town reported missing cattle and unusual lights at night. Naha's face grew pale as she examined the marks. They are close, she said. We must leave soon. Jonas shook his head. Leave? Where would we go? Naha hesitated, then whispered, Somewhere safe, if that place still exists. Despite the fear in her eyes, Jonas saw determination. Naha was not helpless. She had knowledge, skill, and something else, something he could not yet understand. He decided then that he would not leave her to face whatever was coming alone. That night, Jonas kept watch. The desert was quiet, too quiet, and the stars shone brilliantly above. He thought about the first time he had seen Naha in his stable, sleeping peacefully, unaware of the danger that awaited her. How innocent and fragile she had seemed, and yet how powerful she truly was. Suddenly, a streak of light flashed across the sky. Jonas's heart raced. That's them, Naha said softly, her hand glowing faintly as the symbol on her wrist pulsed. They are looking for me. Jonas grabbed his rifle. Then we fight, he said, though he wasn't sure what kind of fight it would be. They spent the rest of the night preparing. Jonas barricaded the stable doors while Naha moved quietly among the animals, her presence calming them. She whispered to the horses, and they stood as if they understood the gravity of the moment. Jonas could feel the connection between them growing, an unspoken bond forged in fear and trust. By dawn, the first signs of danger appeared. Strange shapes moved in the distance, just beyond the hills. Jonas could hear the soft hum of their approach, the unnatural rhythm of machines scanning the desert. He glanced at Naha. Her eyes were calm, but her hand trembled slightly as she revealed the glowing symbol again. Jonas, she said, if they find me, they will find you too. Because you helped me, and because you are important. Jonas frowned. Important? What do you mean? She shook her head. You'll see soon enough. Just trust me. The sun rose higher, casting long shadows across the desert. Jonas knew that their quiet life on the frontier had ended. Whatever came next, he would face it with her. She was no longer just a stranger he had found in his stable. She was someone he would protect, no matter the cost. As the first shapes of the hunters appeared on the horizon, Jonas mounted his horse and helped Naha onto another. They rode toward the unknown, the wind whipping around them, hearts pounding with adrenaline and fear. The desert stretched endlessly before them, but for the first time Jonas did not feel alone. He looked at Naha, her eyes bright with determination, and realized that their lives were now intertwined. Whatever awaited them beyond the hills, they would face it together. The sky above was vast and mysterious, and for the first time, Jonas felt that perhaps the world, and even the universe, was far larger and stranger than he had ever imagined. And in that moment, he understood that the woman he had found sleeping in his stable was no ordinary visitor. She was something more, something extraordinary, and he had been chosen to be part of her story. The desert seemed quieter now, but Jonas knew it was only the calm before the storm. Whatever came next, he would not let Naha face it alone. And somehow, deep in his heart, he felt that she would not let him face it alone either. The sun climbed higher, and Jonas urged his horse forward. The adventure was just beginning, The desert stretched endlessly in front of Jonas and Naha, pale sand glowing faintly under the rising sun. The hunters were close, but Jonas did not panic. He had faced danger before, bandits, wild animals, storms, but nothing like this. Still, with Naha by his side, he felt a strange confidence. She was quiet but powerful, and her calmness steadied him. As they rode, Naha finally spoke. "Jonas, I should tell you the truth," she said, her eyes scanning the horizon. "I am not like you. I am not of this world." Jonas squinted. "Not of this world? You mean alien?" She nodded. "Yes. My people came here long ago when humans were just beginning to settle these lands. We studied you, learned your ways. I was sent to this world generations later to hide." Jonas tried to process this. He had heard stories of ancient visitors, myths and legends, but he had never believed them. Yet here she was, standing or riding beside him, speaking the truth. "And these hunters, they want you because I am one of the last of my kind," she said. "And because Earth holds something important to them, something they will stop at nothing to find." Jonas's hands tightened on the reins. "Then we stop them, whatever it takes." Naha glanced at him and smiled faintly. "You are brave, more than most humans I have known. And you are exactly why I am here." Jonas frowned. "Why me?" "Because you live on the land that is the key," she said, lifting her glowing wrist. "This place, your ranch. It is built on a site my people marked centuries ago. Only someone like you, human, but with courage and heart, can unlock its power." The idea seemed impossible, but Jonas didn't question it. He only nodded. If she believed it, then he would believe it too. The hunters were closing in, and thinking of impossibilities would not save them. As the sun rose higher, the desert shimmered, and strange shadows moved along the dunes. Jonas spotted them first, metallic shapes, sleek and low to the ground, scanning the area. The hunters had arrived. Naha's hand glowed brighter. "We cannot outrun them forever," she said. "We must reach the chamber." Jonas urged his horse faster. The desert was harsh, hot, and uneven, but his experience gave them an edge. He led Naha through narrow canyons and over rocky ridges, using every skill he had learned as a cowboy. They dodged the hunters' sensors, hiding in shadows and behind natural formations. Finally, after hours of riding, they reached the old ranch site where Jonas had lived for years. Naha dismounted quickly and led him to a secluded part of the property he had never explored. Beneath a clump of ancient desert rocks, a faint glow pulsed. Naha knelt and pressed her glowing wrist to a mark etched into the stone. The ground trembled slightly, and a hidden entrance revealed itself, a narrow staircase leading underground. Jonas looked at her in awe. "You're telling me there's something under my land?" Naha nodded. "Something my people left long ago. A place of power, protection, and knowledge. You can activate it, Jonas, because of who you are. Only a human can do this safely." Jonas swallowed hard. He had never thought of himself as special. He was just a man who tended horses and repaired fences. But seeing the trust in Naha's eyes, he realized this was bigger than both of them. "All right," he said, determination in his voice. "Show me what to do." They descended into the chamber. The air was cool and smelled faintly of metal and earth. Strange markings covered the walls, glowing faintly as if responding to their presence. At the center of the chamber was a pedestal, its surface smooth and polished, with a round indentation that seemed to invite a hand. "This is it," Naha said softly. "Place your hand there. Trust yourself." Jonas hesitated for only a moment before pressing his palm against the indentation. A pulse of light shot through his body, warm and energizing. The markings on the walls glowed brighter, forming intricate patterns that seemed to dance and shift. He felt the energy of the land flowing through him, through the pedestal, through Naha. The ground shook beneath them. The hunters had arrived above, sensing something unusual. Their machines screeched and scanned, but an invisible barrier now surrounded the ranch. The pulse from the pedestal had activated a shield, invisible yet powerful. The hunters' machines tried to approach, but they stumbled and fell as if repelled by some unseen force. Naha's eyes shone. "It worked! Jonas! You did it! The land is protected!" Jonas breathed heavily, still feeling the warmth of the pedestal's energy. "I didn't do anything. You guided me." She shook her head. "No, it was your courage, your trust, your heart that allowed this. Humans are capable of more than you think. That is why I chose to come here and why I trusted you." Jonas looked at her, realizing how much he had underestimated both her and himself. This woman, whom he had found sleeping in his stable, was not only extraordinary, she was part of something greater, and somehow so was he. For a moment they stood in silence, the hum of the activated chamber surrounding them. Then the ground trembled again as one of the hunter's machines broke through the edge of the shield. Jonas grabbed his rifle instinctively, but Naha raised her hand, her symbol glowing brightly. A wave of energy shot out from her wrist, and the machine toppled, sparks flying as it crashed to the ground. Jonas stared. "You're amazing," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. Naha smiled faintly. "And you are brave," she said. "Together we can protect this land. Together we can face them." The days that followed were intense. Jonas learned more about Naha's abilities, her knowledge of her people's technology, and the ancient secrets hidden beneath his ranch. They set up defenses, using both his frontier skills and her advanced understanding of energy and technology. Jonas realized that his quiet life on the edge of the frontier had transformed into something extraordinary. He was now part of a larger battle, a protector of both Earth and an ancient legacy. Through it all, Jonas and Naha grew closer. Trust became friendship, and friendship slowly became something more. Jonas marveled at her courage, her intelligence, and the calm strength that radiated from her. Naha admired his steadfastness, his ability to stay grounded even in the face of incomprehensible threats. Together, they balanced each other, a human and an alien, partners in a world that suddenly seemed much larger and stranger than Jonas had ever imagined. One evening, as the sun set behind the distant mountains, casting long shadows across the desert, Naha turned to Jonas. "I thought I would always be alone, hiding, running. But you showed me something different. You showed me trust, kindness, and courage." Jonas reached for her hand. The glowing symbol on her wrist pulsed softly against his skin. "And I thought I was alone too," he said. "But you proved there's more out there than I ever imagined, and I'm not letting you face it alone." They stood together, looking out at the desert, knowing that their lives had changed forever. Jonas understood now that finding Naha in his stable had not been a random occurrence. It was fate. The woman he had protected was now his partner, his ally, and someone he cared for deeply. And Naha realized that this human, simple, brave, steadfast, was the one she could trust, the one who could stand by her side through the dangers that were yet to come. The night grew darker, and the stars emerged, bright and countless in the clear desert sky. Jonas and Naha returned to the chamber to continue preparing, but they no longer felt fear as they had before. They had each other, and together they were stronger than anything that might come. The hunters might return. The unknown threats might continue to seek Naha. But Jonas knew one thing clearly. He would face them, not as a lone cowboy, but as a partner to someone extraordinary. And Naha for the first time in centuries, had found someone who would stand with her, not just to protect her, but to share her life. As they worked through the night, Jonas glanced at Naha and smiled. "We're going to be all right," he said. Naha returned his smile, her eyes glowing faintly under the starlight. "Yes, Jonas, together we will face whatever comes, and somehow, I think, we will change the world too." The desert was quiet once more, but Jonas knew the adventure was far from over. The future stretched out before them, wide and unknown, but for the first time, he felt ready for it. He had found not just a mysterious visitor in his stable, but someone who had become his partner in every sense, and together they would face whatever the stars and the universe had in store. Jonas and Naha stood at the entrance to the chamber, hands clasped, hearts steady, ready to face the future. Whatever threats came, they would face them together, as allies, as friends, as something more. And the world, vast and full of mysteries, had just begun to reveal itself to them.